All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Diagnosis podcast. Today, we're very, very fortunate to have two lovely guests, both Cherry and Anmol. And their story really touched my heart. I met them a couple years ago now, and I can't wait for you guys to hear more about what they have to say. So, Cherry and Anmol, thank you so much for coming for this podcast.
Hi, Ayushi. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having.
Yes, and lovely to have you both. And I guess where we want to start is introducing both of you to our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your family?
I'll start. I'm the
Yeah.
older one. All right. So I'm Cherry, and I came to Australia approximately 20 years ago on a student visa. And then I started my career, different organization in the insurance, in the hospitals, psychiatric clinic, and went to rehab as well. And then I worked at DIS, the federal government, for good 8 years. And recently I've taken over an allied health clinic
Fantastic.
last year, and I am looking after professionals, and it is an autistic ADHD clinic as well. So I'm married for roughly 16 years. I've got a 10-year.
Wow. So lovely. So you've worked really in that health space pretty much your whole career since you came
Yes,
here.
that's correct. I've been mental health and yes, the TAC as well. And then a lot of physiotherapists and the occupational therapists were involved. So I was every time involved around allied health. So I pretty much know the space. And then obviously National Disability taught me a lot of different things for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that point will come back later when we chat more about your family story. But Anmol, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hey everyone, my name is Anmol. I came into Australia in 2013, and previous to that, obviously, all my life was in India. I did my Bachelor's of Commerce, started accounting, came here and did Masters in Accounting and Business Finance. My journey wasn't as hard as Cherry's. She was a big support for all of us. She was settled down here, and obviously her personality, she had a lot of friends, which became our friends.
Yep.
And after coming down here and did my accounting, worked in retail, so completely different sector, made my way up multi-site store leadership at Telstra. 2020 decided to take a leap of faith and decided to start my own finance broking business. Married
Oh,
to
fantastic.
my wife and who's joined me into the business, so we haven't killed each other, so that's going great. And and a 3-year-old daughter.
That's fantastic. So both very successful in their own way in life. And I guess what we're here today to talk about is your story as a family and the story of your beautiful mum. So I want to touch a little bit on what it was growing up with your parents, both your mum Monica and your dad Rajinder. What was life like growing up in that household? Cherry, maybe you can start being the eldest sibling.
Sure. I've always seen my household very switched on, and I would say it's the credit because of mum. She was very much driven towards the community services. So they both were the president and the chairperson of different clubs, which we've seen them going out and about, doing like blood donation camps, eye operation camps, and then the
Wow.
different projects helping charities. So I've seen that environment, and me and Anmol both have seen that environment, mom and dad working really hard. And dad was a
Mm.
pharmacist, obviously 9 to 9 work. He has his own shop. And then ours was very busy. So we were in studies, and my mom was always on our back that we have to participate in each and every activity and then
Yeah.
get a trophy. There was Mum wanted us to be perfect in every field. So this is
Yeah.
learned growing up from her, and my dad as well. So this is what our household was.
Yeah, wow. It's that classic migrant story, right? Where you come here, you see your parents working so hard, they push you to be the best that you can be. Yeah, that's the classic story everyone experiences. And Anmol, what was it like settling in a new country, moving to Australia? What was those first few years like in your family?
Personally, if you ask me, Ishi, I never wanted to come here. I was pretty happy back overseas.
Really?
I was so happy. I had my
Point.
yeah, I was spoiled, and obviously my sister would spoil me from overseas. My parents would as well.
Yeah.
It's off to mum, dad, and Cherry. Obviously, we don't come from a very wealthy family, but mum, dad would visit Cherry every couple of years and see what she's achieved in a small amount of time, what relationship she's built, and they would compare. And obviously, that comparison comes in on what sort of life I'm striving towards.
Absolutely.
You need to go see what Cherry's achieved. And my dad, I used to call it a lollipop. You're giving me a lollipop. You want to study and come. I don't belong to such family that you're gonna, give me $50,000 to study and I come back and do something else. No. So I took a leap of faith again, and again, Cherry would motivate me every week, and I give that English
Yes.
and apply for a course. You'll be fine. And the adjustment didn't take time.
Yeah. Yep.
First job pretty early, started seeing that money coming in, started supporting myself and started supporting the family overseas. Again, the values came from the family and my sister. You got to support your dad. He's worked hard. He's sent you here. And then,
Mm.
the responsibility kept on adding when mum, dad came in 2015. So 2 years after I migrated, and it didn't stop. And we kept having fun along the journey. It's not that we just were working hard, making money. We kept having
Yeah.
the way and became happy in each other's success.
Yeah. So they came into Australia much later. You were sort of already established, Cherry and Anmol. You were here for a couple of
Yes.
years. What was that like, sort of having them from afar, really?
It was actually nervous. I was very nervous.
Yeah.
Dad coming here, mum and dad were a bit nervous as well, leaving their friends and, they were very, very busy in their clubs and coming to another country and starting from
Mm.
scratch. It is very difficult.
Yeah.
But, I think I would give credit to my husband as well. He was very open in supporting them and he did really well. If we've given a platform to our siblings and if they do
Yes.
nothing less than that. So mum came and then, not partying hard till 2 o'clock or 3, but we're literally working hard as well. And we stopped and you don't have to, you retire,
Yes.
enjoy. Said, please don't stop us. We would
Mm.
find any opportunity and then we would learn.
Yeah. It seems like you had a very close-knit relationship with your parents. It's a bit of banter back and forth and encouragement either way. I think it's a very, again, a classic migrant story. You come overseas, you rely on each other a lot and the
Yes.
networks you build together. And there's just a lot of love and encouragement in that whole family system, really.
Yeah.
And I think, Cherry, you mentioned that your mum really loved helping others. It was sort of, she was part of all these charities and would run all these drives. What was it about her? Why do you think she just loved giving back to people around her?
Yeah. So I think it started when you were young, as we saw that doing her different projects, whether it's going to an orphanage and supporting them, and then doing the charity and organizing the eye operation camp.
Mm.
Dad, even though, as Anmol said, we were not very wealthy, we made sure that these things are happening. So along with my dad, she used to distribute a lot of free medications to people, the unprivileged one. So that happened from a really long time. And even when she came here, I think that's how me and Anmol have that symptoms, which is a good one,
Mm.
that we keep doing it. We keep doing it.
Yeah, of course.
It's in our family. So whenever we have that opportunity, we do it, whether it's a blanket drive, whether it's a charity here, whether it's supporting a cancer patient or standing up for anyone, we would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And what a good sort of heart she had to share all these, with people less fortunate than her. That's just incredible. And Anmol, can you share any memory of your mum that sort of comes to mind, the first thing you think of when you think of mum?
A lot of things, but because we lived together for so long in Australia as well, and she'll, one thing which sits by me, and she knew more people than I did in this country, which I feel really proud of. She'll go into
Mm.
a local park for a walk. She'll sit with anybody. And when Cherry said she was open to a lot of things, I say mum was open to saying hello to a lot of people. Ego, what's your name?
Wow.
Where do you come from? What are you doing? Do you come here every day for a walk? What do you eat? She was concerned about everybody. She'll give them the benefits of eating green vegetables, doing yoga, being spiritual, getting up at a certain time. Things I, as a business owner, brag about now. Getting
Yeah.
up on time, sleeping on time, doing my journal was her life for 20 years. And I say this,
My God.
and I used to say, Mum was living this life that all these influencers on Instagram are teaching. It's like us, business mentors. Mum was living that life and she wasn't mentored by anyone, and she'll look after everyone. She'll teach. I'll say, Mum, don't embarrass me. Don't talk to anyone, and teach them how to yoga and do art of living. And listen to such things. But if you think about it, that was her nature.
Yeah.
That is her giving back on a daily basis.
Yeah, wow. And that's rare. I don't think I could go up to random people on the street and have a conversation. It's a very you have to really strip away all that insecurity, all that fear to just go out there
A
and
good
just talk
place
to
to be at,
people.
but I think that's how she was, and that's how she made friends in a new country. When a lot of
Yeah.
people come to us and say, "How did your parents?" Our parents go back in a week's time because nobody talks, no neighbor talks here. And in India, they used talking to the neighbors and standing there for a couple of hours and talking. I said my mum and dad were open from day dot,
Yeah.
not to rely on the kids.
Now, obviously, we're here today to talk about your mum's story. Cherry, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what transpired a couple years ago and why we're here today and what we're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is obviously a life-changing thing for us, for our family. We lost our mum on 31st December, 2024. I still can't believe it. It's been a year and a half, year and a few months without her. Obviously, when you lose a loved one, and especially your mum, your life kind of stops. And the way she's gone, no closure, nothing. What exactly happened? Why this happened to us? We kind of, your life pause that why does this happen to you? You've done the right
Yeah.
thing. I'm a strong believer of karma. I've always done
Mm,
Family's done good things to others. We've done so much, good for other people and be very, very low key and keep it to ourselves. Why?
yeah, of course.
Then I think you can't control the destiny. And this happened. Was gone and then our life was shattered.
Mm,
Obviously, I think the only purpose which is keeping us together, the whole family, is because of the organ donation. What mum has done is the legacy, she's created. It's the selflessness she's given us, the
mm,
teachings she's given us throughout her life, and even she's gone now. Still, it's remained with us, and it is going to follow and follow and follow. That's it. Yes.
yes, yes, of course. Now, of course, that's such a heavy grief that you have to go through in the whole process. Do you remember what it was like in the hospital when they brought up that conversation with you? I know it's very hard to talk about, but it's so important that people understand in that moment where you're dealing with someone that you're losing to make that decision is not an easy one at all,
Yes.
regardless of people's choices. Take me back into that point. What was said to you and what was going through your mind?
I think I was keeping a track of everything, and so was Anmol. And then
Yes.
I still remember that day when we were called to the hospital, and I knew it back in my mind that what's the news. And then I think I still remember one day before when I was walking with Anmol and Dad, I still had a hope that Mom would come back. And I was preparing them might come back with a disability because I'm in this sector and I've seen lots
Yes, of
of things
course.
preparing them. This could happen. We might have to help her a lot. We will have to do
Yeah.
things. I was preparing them, but we were not prepared for this at all. This is the news is going to come. Obviously, me and my brother were very, very, we were numb. We
Yeah,
were
of course.
crying and crying. We were shattered. And I think we were sitting with a team of doctors and they were trying to explain Mum what was happening to Mum. And then this is
Yes.
the decision we have to take today at certain time. And this never thought that this is the decision we have to make. Okay, at this time, we're going to say goodbye to our mom. Now, I am thinking, and I,
I know it's very difficult to talk about.
I think I'll give the credit to the doctors the way they explained each and
Of
everything,
course.
that how it's going to happen, how it
Mm,
the people. And still, when you're sitting there, it doesn't make sense that much
of
because you're in
course.
a very different zone. And I think I'll give credit to my dad. Hats off to him. When the question was asked, would you like to donate the organs for your mum? And my dad said,
Mm,
yes, we would. This is what Monica would like to do. And me and Anmol were looking at him and saying, what are you saying? We don't know. And said,
yeah,
no,
yeah, of
but
course.
this is what she would do. And then, yes, we would like to donate. And the question gave, okay, how many organs you would like to do? And they explained each
Mm,
every organ very well. And my dad said, yes, yes, yes to everything. Even though my dad, English is second language, he was gotten the translator. That translator explained everything really well. And then as a family, we made the decision, yes, we would love to
yeah.
donate mom's organs.
What a brave decision, and what a brave thing for your father also to deal with in a country that's foreign to him, a language that's second language, just making that decision
Yes.
immensely. And we'll come to this. Multicultural communities, we don't talk about organ donation enough. We don't even know what it is. There's a lot of stigma around it. So for him to make that decision, that's massive. And so much credit to your dad for taking that bold step. And Anmol, I think it was said, or you told me, that your mum had spoken or mentioned organ donation in the past. Do you remember that conversation at all, or what she had said?
I think mum and dad went to an event run by a club where there was a representative from Donate a Life. I spoke about
Yes.
donation, and they were handing out forms to fill out after that event. And not everybody took that form. If you don't understand what's organ donation, or if you're not keen on doing it, again, no offense, you wouldn't take it. And mum took it and brought it home, and it was on top of her shelf. And that's what, even though mum and dad didn't speak about it, that this is what they're going to do, or this is what they aspire to do after they
Mm,
dad feel that she's got that form. She would have loved doing it. She would have loved to give back
mm,
on as well. And again, as Cherry said, hats off to the doctors and hats off to dad, and not even asked away and taking that brave decision. It still takes me back to that room right there, how passionate
mm.
my dad became and how confident he was. Like, he was born and brought up here. He was trying to speak English, trying to explain them what he wants to do,
Yes,
even different state of mind. Like, me and Cherry wouldn't even understand what's happening. And then
of
he started
course.
thinking about it and we started helping him. So I wouldn't say it was a different atmosphere altogether, but the way he took it all and made it into something purposeful was just this blows us away till date.
Of course, of course. And looking back from where you are now, you've seen the impact you've had on the organ donation community. You've interacted with a lot of recipients, of organs, and you see how positive they are and just grateful for that life. Looking back now from all of this experience, Cherry, what does it mean to you, that decision? Do you feel like it was the right decision to make? What do you feel now?
Million percent, yes. I still remember last year when I attended your event, Body Buddies event. This was the first event I would say we attended. And then the table we were sitting on, they were recipients. We didn't know. We didn't know. And then obviously we were interacting. Who are we? And then who are they? And they started hugging us. They said, thank you, for saying yes. And then, you as a family, because
Yeah,
of your mom, we are here. So I think it started from there. It was an eye
yes.
it was an eye opener, listened to a lot of stories, recipients, families. And then after that, I went to Remembrance Day last year as well. I actually cried throughout. It
Oh my
was
God.
really
Yeah.
emotional. So emotional. I think the emotional part was because the whole the area is, sitting down, you're sitting down there, their families, their parents, their siblings, and there is a screen up there. You start seeing your photos of your loved ones. They've gone from here. And then my mum was 62, and I was telling Anmol and dad, mum was 62. We don't want anyone to go, even they're 100 years of age. Parents to go,
Of course.
don't want anyone to go. There were photos of 6-year-olds, there were photos of 10-year-olds, there were photos of 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And as the photos were coming, I could hear the cry from parents, siblings that, we've lost that person, but that person has donated the organs. I was just thinking, okay, it was difficult for me and Amul to make that decision, but our dad did it. How, we would have done.
I know.
They would have said,
Yeah.
yes, okay, my kid's going or gone. I would love to. That every time I go and be part of this event, I am full of emotions and my heart
Yeah,
is
of
full.
course.
I advocate more for this. I keep talking about this.
Yeah,
Talking about this is like, remember,
of course. And it's making a massive impact. I think education for people listening, organ donation, you can say that you're interested in organ donation, but in Australia, the decision is ultimately up to your family. And if you don't communicate that decision with your family, most families don't end up deciding to donate. So having that discussion with your family is really, really important, number one. Secondly, even if you want to become a donor, not most people can donate. There's a certain type of death that allows for donation. So the amount of donors we actually get is very, very small, consented and also in the conditions for donation. Then you look at the waiting list of how many people are waiting for an organ, and it keeps growing and growing. And some people are waiting years for an organ that matches. So the demand for organ donation is much higher. And if everyone, for example, had signed up, there's a lot more impact we could make, because there's a lot of sort of circumstances that have to align for organ donation to work. So it's very, very important that we discuss this openly in the community, share the impact that one donor can make. One donor can save up to 7 lives. That's massive. And some of these lives are young kids, who have a whole life left to live. You met Inaya, I think, as well, the little girl. She's got a whole life left just because someone else was able to make that decision in a time of grief.
Yes.
But because of that, this young girl can, go horse riding, go out, live her best life. So it's really is the best way to honor someone in their death and in their passing. And I think, Anmol, I want to touch on our multicultural communities.
Yeah.
We don't discuss organ donation. Most people don't know what it is. What was the reaction like when you told people? What did you notice in your community?
It's very positive. Me and Cherry spoken about it a lot of times. I think probably 1% people would have just made that face and thought why. But all the people were very positive. We went to India last year as well, and we for people to come and pay respects, and everybody came to us and said, "What a brave move! She's still living in people's life." They've
Yeah,
read
of course.
Dad was very proud in taking the newspapers, the magazines from here to show people how well she's respected and such courage decision she's taken. Although he took that decision, but people respect Mum due to the act of bravery she's done after she's gone and helped save 7 lives. So she's well respected. People took it in
Yeah,
a
of course.
positive
That's
way.
great.
Although back home in India, it's not very well spoken about, but we could see a lot of local clubs and organizations speaking about it in Mum's Remembrance Day, where they came and spoke about what they're going to do, taking inspirations from Mum's Act, which is great. Everybody starts helping people here and there.
Yes.
Spread that message. It's gonna flow like, a lot of people will have more knowledge about it, and that's what we want.
Course. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. People need to see people within their own community making these bold decisions in order to understand it and also feel like it's something they can do. It's one thing to see other people doing it, but it's another to make that decision for yourself, right? And I think when we see people, our skin tone, speaking the same language, then you realize, oh my God, this is something that a decision I can make for myself as well. Cherry, what was it like talking about organ donation in the multicultural communities after all of this?
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it is like a very flawless communication. I'm very open, how you help. You talk about spirituality. A lot of people do. In every religion, we talk about spirituality, which means that to give, to do a noble act. So for me, the noble act is to donate. If you're donating organs, I think nothing bigger than that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a very, very big advocate for this. So when I was speaking to all my friends, they registered. They sent me the screenshot. Cherry, I have registered. Cherry, I have done this. And then they mean it, they said, this is this beautiful thing your mom has done. I still remember this year when I came back from India, I got the news that my neighbor's dad passed away. And I saw the uncle walking every day. I used to greet him. Again, our similar multicultural family, own beliefs and ritual. Then we went to their house to pay respects, of course. But what my neighbor told me, and then this is very confidential, she said, Cherry, this is very confidential, but we also donated our dad's organs because you mentioned your mom. But she said, keep it confidential because nobody in the family. So this is where I'm coming. Okay, for me, spreading this much, my neighbors have done that decision. Maybe slowly, when, they will do the discussion in the family one day, then this will come. So this is where we're talking about I've got a big circle here, and Anmol's got a big circle here, the group of friends, they all has done, and some of them have registered. This is like a winning for us. Yes.
That is such a win. That is such a win. And I think having someone, a vocal advocate in the community is important because, like you sort of mentioned, a lot of people might do it, but then I don't know if it's shame or they just don't want to talk about it. It gets hidden. And I think we need someone to stand out there and talk more about, yes, I'm proud. This is the decision we made, and not afraid to tell their story. So that's more people like that I think we need in our community. Yeah. And how does your dad feel about all of this? I remember when I met your dad, I was almost in tears because he's
Yeah.
such a champion. How is he feeling the way Monica's being remembered now?
We had nothing in front of him. If you talk about the advocate, he is the biggest advocate. Like even today when we were coming here, he was like, can we broadcast this so that people know, or like the whole world should know? Every time I'm going to donate life marketing or he's doing something, send me the pictures, send me the news, send me this. And the moment I send him anything in regards to this, he will spread it to all the connections in India, here, England, wherever he
Oh
knows.
my God.
So everywhere. So that's why I say me and Anmol might be, we will be busy, we'll forget.
Yeah.
He will just do his best. I think boys, men, they are very less expressive. And then grief, when it comes to grief, I think he is missing mom a lot. But I think doing this organ donation, different, talking about it, he's a president of Smart Club now. And he started this club because mom started this club and couldn't, operate it. But then he only last month started this club. And then because of mom's legacy, it's on mom's name. That
Wow.
7 years of Monica, organ donation, Smart Club is operating and they're doing different things.
That's amazing. So he's really taken her legacy and sort of made that his mission in life to spread it as far and wide as he can.
Every get together of that club would start by talking about organ donation, and
Yeah.
mum's photo would be there.
Yes.
Obviously, whoever joins in, obviously, all the retirees and senior citizens would join in. They'll get to visiting their kids. They'll at least have that lesson because if they're going to go back, they'll give that lesson to people in India as well.
Yeah, of course.
And to their friends over there. And that's what dad's motive is. And again, getting people together, they've always loved it from back in India to running so many clubs and to running a club here. That's what mum wanted to do, set up a club here because they came in and not everybody has that privilege of having kids here, their friends and,
Yeah.
merge in easily. People are very lonely here. It's club. I registered that name for mum back in 2023, but we could never do it.
Yeah.
He's just running with it. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I remember last month when we did that inauguration, because we were talking so much about organ donation in that inauguration. I think I still remember one of the uncle came to me and he said, Cherry, can I get your number? I said, sure, why not? And I'm very open to communicating with senior citizens because
Yes.
we think, so is Anmol, we would love to help them. And then he messaged me, he said, Cherry, I am not the permanent resident of Australia, but I want to donate my whole body. How can I do
Wow.
it? And I was like, wow, okay. Then I
That's
go
amazing.
and then I told him certain things. I said, okay, well, you know what? My kids, they're not with me on this. How do I convince them? So this was the communication we had. I said, oh my God, a lot of people, they do need a lot of education when it comes
Yeah.
to organ donation for sure.
Yeah, of course. But it makes a massive difference having someone that they can talk to just to share that with them. And of course, both of you have become, as you've said, huge advocates for organ donation in the multicultural community and beyond. What are some changes you'd like to see? Anmol, maybe we'd start with you. Is there certain changes that you are itching to see, whether it's policy or in the community in terms of organ donation?
I think talking more freely, like you said before, people are uncomfortable talking about it because of certain reasons. Could be cultural, could be their religious beliefs. Like, we still remember the people who were really uncomfortable listening to mum's story on what dad did in the hospital when the news was unfolded. But I think people should be cautious of what they do. What I mean by that is, I had a person back in India who said, what a brave act. And I had to ask him, what makes you say that? He's like, we're not privileged when we live here in India. A lot of times, we're not making money when parents did. But once we've left, we've got something to give, which is our body. And couldn't be the whole body. It could be certain organs that you decide to give. In our life, we can say that we couldn't do a lot, but you've still got reasons to do it. You've still got your body. If you've born with organs these days, you can walk, you've got eyes. I think you're already very fortunate,
Yes.
and I think people should be talking more freely like we've started. We're still young, and a lot of people we speak to aren't very open talking about it. Just because it
Mm,
happened to us, and just because what dad did, we've become very open talking about it, and we want everybody to do their bit. And I think if that happens, it would be a common thing to happen when someone's passing away, rather than what Jerry's neighbor said, don't talk to anyone. I think we should be talking.
yeah.
It's a brave act. We should honor that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's something that, people are afraid to talk about. It's something we need to talk about way more. And like you mentioned, it's something unexpected. So, a lot of people will register when they're older because they feel their time is coming, or, they're preparing for elder age. But this can happen to even young people. And people my age, I know they don't want to talk about this because they don't want to talk about the possibility of death ever. I mean, we're not invincible. We never know what life may hold, but that's I think a bit of the challenge. How do you connect with people our age, young people who are not in that mindset to even consider donating? How do you say, look, even if it's 1% chance, just sign up, because, if worst case scenario, something like that happens, you can still do something with your life. Whereas if you haven't even expressed interest, there's a lot more pressure on your family to make that decision in a really grief-stricken state.
People
How
should
do
be
you?
proud of sharing this.
Yes.
I was telling Dad the other day, people should be proud of sharing like screenshots she was getting that are registered. Be proud of it. You've done something.
Yeah.
It'll
Sure.
happen. It'll happen maybe 30 years after, but you're going to change lives when you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about the families with young kids, like you mentioned, Cherry. Like, some of these kids are 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're making that bold decision. No one expects it, but they're still deciding that, look, in their memory, I'd like to share, their organs and give life to other people. How do you navigate, Cherry, having these discussions with people your age who are young, not maybe in that frame of mind to talk about it? What do you do in your capacity?
I think that, thinking about this, that because this organ donation has happened, someone is getting up every day, hugging their parents or family every day, going to work, because I made that decision. Someone is able to do it. If I'm not there, my mom's not there, we're gone. Unexpected thing has happened. But now what? Like, for example, my personal experience, I will just bring in a bit of a grief here as well.
Yeah.
If I sometimes sit on my bed, look at the wall, and I have been a very bubbly person. I cannot sit. Am a, I just keep myself on toes. Let's do
Yeah.
this, do that. Let's party. Let's call people. I'm going to call my friend, laugh, joke on the toes. I used to be, and still I am, but still 10-15% is missing from my
Of
life.
course.
I'm still going baby steps. And
Yeah, of course.
sometimes when I sit down, look at the wall, my husband will ask me, Cherry, you're not talking, you're not looking at your mobile,
Mm,
just leave me alone. I do that for 10 minutes, and then I remember that has given me a purpose. My health is okay. I think I can, or somebody can, easily slide into a depressive mode.
of course.
Losing a loved one it completely changes you. So even your family or even yourself, you're gone. I mean, if your family has a purpose to do something, think about your family. They will be advocating, something for you. So I think this is the communication we need to have, even if it's
Mm,
the older generation. Like my daughter knows, she's a 10-year-old. She knows everything about it.
yeah,
And
wow.
yes, she knows everything about it. She's done a presentation in school as well.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, she knows like what is the organ donation and what is the impact, what my grandma has done.
Mm,
Very open to that as well. Yes, even thinking about my daughter talking about passing away, it gives me that uncomfortable feeling. You know,
mm,
awareness is awareness, and it has to go on like we used to have that stigma on mental health. but it's freely spoken about it. So organ donation has to take place as well.
That's exceptional, though, that it just goes to show that if your 10-year-old daughter can understand it, communicate it in school proudly, that age is not a barrier to understanding organ donation. We shouldn't be hiding away from it. Even, from young kids, they can still conceptualize it that you're helping others, when the time comes. So that's a really inspiring part, actually. And I guess Anmol, what is one thing when people hear your story about your mum, what do you hope they take away from it?
I think being human and generous, selfless act. This is what mum's life has taught us. You keep doing things when you can. Sometimes it's not in your power, but thankfully my parents did, and we've seen that while growing up, not coming from a very wealthy family. This is what we do as well. Even though when I was new in the country, she was new in the country, we would still have that learnings from mum and dad to keep doing it for others. We still not settled. We haven't got a permanent residencies yet, but we will still go out help people. And I want people to understand that you don't have to have in abundance to give back to people.
Yes.
And obviously organ donation is one thing, and it's a big impact what mom's done. And I want people, but in saying that in your day-to-day life, best of house is best of cars, but you can still do a lot of good to other people. And when I talk about, I'm in finance, I sit with 5, 6 couples every week. I'll talk about millions of other things, finances, feeding the heat when it comes to cost of living. But I ask most of the people I'll ask when we go deep into it, what's your purpose of life? And everybody goes numb for 30 seconds. I think success will be when people know what's the exact purpose of life. It's to give back.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean to give money. Hey, you're short of money. Hey, you go $100 buy a grocery. No, it could be anything. It could be giving
Mm,
them extra knowledge. It could be making them feel grateful for what they have. They already had of all the people. I've made this a habit of making people feel that they are ahead of a lot of people. I tell
yes.
them how many people I sit with and that they're not behind. A lot of people who sit with me, especially from our community, and I'm not
Yes.
shy from saying that, they'll feel that they're behind in life. Well, who are you
Yes.
racing against?
Yes,
Why are
very
you taking
true.
that mental stress? Why is that mental stress? One day you're going to go into depression thinking about that you haven't made it. There's no age to
Yes.
let. So I want to give that lesson in my way, in that selfless form, to spend time with people and give back. And that's how I want people to.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. And Cherry, what's one memory of your mum that, you'd want people to just take away from this?
She was a very beautiful woman, good in skin, never followed any treatments plan.
Yeah.
But no, as a person, I think I would not say, I say this to Anmol. If I look at my mom from the childhood till now, she wanted us to be perfect. She was not like a googie, come here, I'll give you this. Nothing was on
Yes.
for us.
No.
We had to earn it. And this is what mom taught us right from the beginning. Very tough.
Mm,
She was very tough. So this is what my image is. Even like last 2 years, mom had become very soft. I was more kind of a companion on every basis. Do this, do that, do this. But before that, even my daughter was born, she had that, control. And then, what do you call the expectation? What are you doing in job? When's your promotion? This is what from the beginning, mom had that expectation from both of us. Like
yes.
every time we used to tell her that we got promotion or we got this, she used to feel proud a lot.
Yeah.
She used to say, don't tell.
She's a classic Desi mum, basically.
Just stay in your lane and keep going. And that's what we've learned.
Of course. And how do you think, I believe truly that she would be looking down at you filled with pride, but how do you think she would be feeling hearing all the impact you've made with your organ donation, sharing her story?
She'll be overwhelmed, obviously. She'll be overwhelmed, but she'll be proud at the same time. We're doing what we can after she's gone to spread the same message of selflessness and giving back to the community in one way or the other. And I'm sure she's very proud. And I say this every day when I get up. I'm sure you're proud, Mum. I say this every day without a doubt.
Yes. And I'm sure she's still pushing you to do more. She'd be like, you can still do this though. You can still do that.
Watch TikTok just
Oh, well, thank you both, Cherry and Anmol, for sharing your story. It has been a pleasure to hear about your mum, Monica. And I think truly from the bottom of my heart, her story has inspired me, but I'm sure you've inspired, hundreds, if not thousands across Australia. So thank you so much.
So much,
Thank you,
Ayush.